He was about to go on when they heard a cry in the distance.
"The trial's beginning!"
"Come on," said the Griffin, and he took Alice's hand. "What trial is it?" asked Alice. But the Griffin only answered, "Come on," and ran faster. In the distance, Alice could still hear the Mock Turtle's sad song.
Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup.
Chapter 5. The Trial. When Alice and the Griffin arrived at the court, the King and Queen of Hearts were already there. There was a great crowd of all sorts of animals and birds, too. Alice saw the White Rabbit. He was standing beside the King. He was holding a trumpet and a piece of paper and looked very important. The King was the judge. Alice knew he was the judge because he was wearing a wig. He was wearing his crown on top of his wig. Alice thought he looked rather silly. The Knave of Hearts was standing on the other side of the court. He was the prisoner, and the soldiers were guarding him. Next to him sat 12 animals in a box. They were the jury. They were all busily writing. "Why are they writing?" Alice asked the Griffin. "The trial hasn't begun."
"They're writing down their names so they won't forget them,"
the Griffin told her. In the middle of the court, there was a large plate of jam tarts. Alice began to feel rather hungry. "I hope the trial will be over soon," thought Alice. "Then we can eat the food." Suddenly, the rabbit blew on his trumpet. There was silence in the court.
"Read out what the prisoner has done,"
said the King. The rabbit looked at his piece of paper and read, "The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away."
"Did he do it?"
the King asked the jury. "Not yet, not yet," said the rabbit. "We must ask a lot of questions first." Alice sat down and listened. The White Rabbit had a list, and he read out people's names. Then the King asked them questions. One of the people was the Duchess's cook. The King thought for a long time. Then he asked the cook,
"What are tarts made of?"
"Pepper mostly," answered the cook.
"No jam!"
shouted somebody else in the court.
"Throw that person out of the court!"
shouted the Queen.
"Off with his head!"
There was an awful lot of noise for a while. Then the White Rabbit went on with his list. All the questions and answers seemed very silly to Alice. Then the White Rabbit called out the next name. "Alice!" "Here!" cried Alice and jumped up. Alice was sitting by the jury box. As she jumped up, she pushed the box by mistake and it fell over. All the animals fell out of the box.
"The trial can't go on without the jury,"
said the King. Alice picked them all up as quickly as she could and put them back in the box. But she was hurrying so much that some went in upside down.
"What do you know about this business?"
the king asked Alice. "Nothing," said Alice.
"That's very important,"
said the king to the jury. "You mean unimportant," said the White Rabbit very politely.
"Yes, of course,"
said the king. The animals of the jury wrote it down, but nobody asked Alice any more questions. The trial began to bore her. Then the queen said the silliest thing of all.
"We must now decide what the punishment is to be."
"But did the knave steal the tarts?"
said the king.
"The jury must decide first."
"No,"
said the queen.
"Punishment first, then the jury can decide if he did it."
Alice couldn't keep quiet any longer. She was so angry that she quite forgot to be polite. She jumped up and shouted,
"That's silly! You can't have the punishment first!"
Everyone in the court looked at her.
"Off with her head!"
shouted the angry queen.
"I'm not afraid of you,"
said Alice.
"You're only a pack of playing cards."
As Alice spoke, all the playing cards rose together into the air and flew down onto her. She tried to beat them off. Alice found she was lying in the garden under the tree. Her sister was brushing some leaves off Alice's face.
"Wake up, Alice,"
said her sister. "You've been asleep a long time."
"Oh, I've had such a curious dream,"
said Alice, and she told her sister all about it.